Only days ago, the heart of West Africa beat louder than ever. In a single breathtaking moment, Captain Ibrahim Traore rallied his people, planting 10 million trees across 2,500 villages. The desert wind that once carried only dust and despair now whispers with the promise of life. And at the core of this green revolution stand 10,000 women, their hands rough from labor, their voices soft with prayers, sowing the seeds of a future they may never see, but one they believe in with every heartbeat. While Western nations still debate climate targets and carbon credits, Burkina Faso is acting. No foreign aid, no waiting for permission, just courage, unity, and an unshakable will to live free. These women are not just planting trees, they are planting freedom, dignity, and hope into the cracked soil of the Sahel. But how did Traore do it? How did a young captain inspire a movement so powerful it turned bare land into a breathing forest? Stay with us, because this isn't just another story. It's the future our ancestors dreamed of. Subscribe and stand with us for an Africa that will never bow again. And may God watch over this journey. Amen. The story of Burkina Faso's Green Revolution does not begin with headlines or statistics. It begins with parched earth, cracked by years of drought, and the determination of a nation refusing to surrender. Long before the world noticed, villages across the Sahel were quietly losing the battle against desertification. Our wells were drying, our crops failing, and the land felt like a graveyard, one elder recalls. We knew that if we did nothing, we would vanish with the dust. Under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore, this narrative began to shift. Known for his fiery speeches and bold defiance of the foreign influence, Traore turned his eyes not just to political independence, but to the soil itself. His belief was simple yet profound. A nation that cannot feed itself is a nation that cannot stand tall. In June 2025, Traore launched an unprecedented campaign. On the National Tree Planting Day, 5 million trees were planted in just 1 hour, a feat that shocked observers worldwide. International outlets questioned how a landlocked country with limited resources could achieve such a milestone. The answer, according to Traore, lay in the hands of the people. It is the people who will save this nation, not foreign aid. It is their sweat, their hands, their hope that will turn this desert into life. Among these people, 10,000 women became the beating heart of the mission. They were not soldiers in uniform, but soldiers of resilience. From dawn until dusk, they dug trenches, carried water, and planted seeds, often singing hymns as they worked under the scorching sun. These women were mothers, grandmothers, widows, each with her own story of hardship, yet united in purpose. When we plant, we are planting for our children, one woman explained. When we carry water, we carry hope. The involvement of women was not accidental. Traore understood that in Burkina Faso's rural communities, women are the backbone of agriculture and the guardians of tradition. By empowering them, he was not only planting trees, but also planting the seeds of social transformation. He often said, "Give a woman a tool and she will build a village. Give her a forest and she will build a nation." The voices of these women tell a story that statistics never could. Imagine Awa, a grandmother of 65, her back bent from decades of carrying firewood and buckets of water. "I have seen this land turn from green to dust," she says, "but I will see it green again before I die." When she plants a sapling, she whispers her late husband's name, believing that each tree is not just life for the soil, but a memory preserved for the generations to come. For many, this movement is spiritual. Churches and mosques across Burkina Faso now bless seedlings before they are planted. A tree is like a child, one imam tells the community. It needs care, prayer, and patience to grow strong. Some women wear traditional fabrics printed with green leaves, a proud symbol of their role in this army without guns. Children are learning the value of nature in ways their parents never could. Schools have started tree days, where students dig alongside their mothers. Teachers use the act of planting as a lesson on perseverance. Just as this tree will grow slowly but surely, so will our nation, one teacher says, tears welling in her eyes. This is not just environmental work, it is therapy. In villages scarred by conflict, women gather at planting sites not only to sow seeds, but to share stories, sing and heal. When we dig together, we forget our grief, says Mariam, a widow. The trees will stand for our children when we are gone. The success of this initiative has already begun to show visible results. The green belt surrounding Ouagadougou, once a neglected stretch of dry land, is now coming alive with vegetable plots, fruit trees, and medicinal plants. As reported by The Guardian, the 2,000-hectare green belt is cooling the city and providing food security to hundreds of families. But beyond its physical benefits, the forest is becoming a symbol of defiance, proof that Burkina Faso can craft its own destiny. Traore himself addressed the nation saying, "We do not need pity. We do not need lectures. We need the courage to do what our ancestors taught us, to live with the land, not against it." His words resonated not just within Burkina Faso, but across Africa and beyond, igniting conversations about self-reliance and unity. And yet questions remain. Can this movement survive a harsh Sahel climate? Will the momentum of these 10,000 women continue once the cameras are gone? Or is this only the beginning of a much larger revolution, one that will redefine Africa's relationship with the land? This was never just about trees. Not really. In Burkina Faso, planting a forest has become an act of resistance against poverty, against climate collapse, and most of all against the legacy of dependence. For decades, the nation was seen as a recipient of aid, of charity, of instruction. But Traore refused that script. His revolution, green and growing, was not designed to please the West. It was designed to free his people. They called us poor. But how poor is a people who can grow their own food, build their own future, and shade their children with trees they planted themselves? That was his challenge, not just to Burkina Faso, but to every African nation still tethered to the donor table. Indeed, this forest is not just about roots in the soil. It is about pulling out the roots of foreign control. For every tree planted, a dependency dies. For every garden dug, a debt is defied. Traore's message is clear. We will no longer wait for the world to save us. We are saving ourselves. This stance, however, is not without enemies. The silence of the international press is telling. When a Western nation reforests, headlines read innovation. When an African nation does it, the headlines are quiet. Too quiet. No front pages. No op-eds. No environmental praise. Why? Because Traore is dangerous. Not because he's reckless, but because he's effective. He is proof that Africa doesn't need handouts to move forward. That narrative terrifies those who built their power on African dependency. As one analyst put it, Traore isn't asking for permission, and that for some is the greatest threat of all. Let us be honest, there are those who would rather see this forest fail, not because they hate trees, but because they fear the independence they represent. Every seedling is a declaration, we are enough. And at the heart of this declaration are the women, 10,000 strong. They know the stakes. We are not just digging, one said. We are erasing the old lies, that we cannot lead, that we cannot grow, that we must wait for help. To some, their work looks humble, but to the old powers that shaped Africa's borders and budgets, it is revolutionary. These women are not marching in protest, they are tilling in defiance. And in that soil lies a question the world must face. If you believe this is what Africa needed all along, say Amen in the comments below, because this is not a Western NGO's photo op. This is not a conference promise. This is not about planting a few trees and flying back to Geneva. This is grassroots, ground-up, woman-led transformation, and yes, it is working. As of July 2025, over 12,000 hectares of degraded land have been revived. Rainfall patterns around pilot zones show improvement. Groundwater retention has increased. Crop yields have doubled in some regions. These are not projections, these are realities. But don't expect to see this on your evening news. Burkina Faso's success challenges too many assumptions about poverty, about gender, about power. So instead they whisper, they question, they dismiss. Still, the trees keep rising. The women keep planting. The desert keeps shrinking. And Captain Ibrahim, he keeps marching. As he said in a recent rally, the world does not have to believe in us. We believe in ourselves, and that is enough. This story is not just about Burkina Faso. It is about every black community that has ever been told to wait for permission, to accept less, to remain silent. When Captain Ibrahim Traore speaks of planting forests, he is also speaking of planting dignity, the kind of dignity stolen from black hands across centuries. This isn't just about Africa, this is about us, says a community elder in Ouagadougou. It's about every generation that built but never owned, that bled but never saw freedom. From the cotton fields of Alabama to the sugar plantations of Haiti, the story is painfully familiar. Black labor building white empires, while black nations are left to starve. But Traore's movement says no more. His vision is a mirror for African Americans, for Caribbeans, for every descendant of the diaspora who dreams of self-sufficiency. Consider the parallels. In 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat, sparking the Montgomery bus boycott.
Lovely viewers, welcome to AMF4 TV. My name is Richard Che. I hope you are fine. Okay, we are talking about how African leaders has to be united by this an influential leader, Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traore. There is a video on social media, especially on our handles, that we have to share it to you for you people to comment on it, on how statements he has been making all these days. We'll keep on updating you on this issue, but don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more of this video as well as similar videos like this. Let's listen to whatever he said and on social media to see, and then also don't forget to comment when you watch this video. Kindly also not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, share this video for people to also watch and like as well.
A movement rooted in ordinary people standing up against the powerful system. Today, 10,000 women in Burkina Faso are standing with shovels and seeds, facing down not buses, but the creeping desert. Their courage echoes that same spirit of resistance, the Harlem Renaissance, the civil rights marches, the chants of "we shall overcome." These were not just American struggles. They were chapters in a global story of black resilience. In the same way, this forest is not just a Burkinabe achievement. It belongs to every soul that believes black communities deserve more than survival. They deserve thriving. Traore himself has made this connection. In a speech earlier this year, he said, "Our brothers and sisters abroad must know Africa is not waiting. We are not begging. We are building. And every tree we plant is a message that freedom is ours to claim." This narrative is powerful because it ties the land to identity. Planting a tree is no longer just an act of farming. It is a declaration of existence. It is, as one local pastor put it, a baptism of the soil. The symbolism runs deep. Water, once seen as a scarce and fragile resource, is now flowing through new irrigation channels. These channels are like veins, carrying life to a land once declared barren. And the women, the mothers and grandmothers, are the heartbeat of it all. We have marched for freedom, worked for justice, but how often have we owned the blueprint? Asks an African-American historian who visited the project. His words resonate because the answer has always been not often enough. Too often, black progress has been defined by external approval, a grant, a permit, a foreign loan. But here in Burkina Faso, the blueprint is theirs. This is why the story touches something raw, especially for older black Americans. They remember segregation. They remember being told they were less. Watching 10,000 African women reclaim their land feels like watching a younger sister rise, stronger than ever. And it's not just history, it's prophecy. If Africa can stand tall, then the narrative of black inferiority crumbles for good. That is why this forest matters beyond borders. In the words of Traore, when we plant, we are not planting trees. We are planting freedom for every black child everywhere. The forest is not finished. If anything, it has only just begun. In a recent government address, Captain Ibrahim Traore laid out the next stage of Burkina Faso's environmental revolution, a campaign to plant 20 million trees before the end of 2025. And unlike so many lofty government promises, this one is already in motion. Local governments have mobilized village councils. Schools have incorporated tree planting into their curriculum. Engineers are working to expand solar-powered water pumps that keep saplings alive during the dry season. From the north near Djibo to the southern valleys of Gewa, The landscape is shifting, but this is about more than planting trees. Traore is building a future where Burkina Faso produces its own food, controls its own water, and exports more than just raw materials. He has said it himself. We are not reforesting to impress. We are reforesting to survive and then to thrive. Already, the impact is being felt economically. Entire communities are earning livelihoods through reforestation work. Nurseries for native trees are now local businesses. Women who once depended on international food aid are now selling fruits, shea butter, and medicinal herbs grown from their forest plots. This is a different kind of revolution, one that does not march with rifles but with watering cans. And the world is watching, though some still refuse to acknowledge it. Development agencies are quietly requesting reports. Scientists are studying Burkina Faso's microclimate changes. Even skeptical neighboring states are sending delegates to see the transformation for themselves. As one UN observer noted, we came expecting a symbolic effort. What we saw was a strategic, scalable model. This could change how we fight desertification across the entire Sahel. The forest is also changing how people see Traore. In the early days, many saw him only as a soldier, a coup leader, a man of defiance. But now his image is broadening. He is no longer just the face of rebellion. He is becoming the architect of recovery. Captain Ibrahim's latest news now includes budget allocations for ecological projects, partnerships with African universities, and the development of climate-resilient infrastructure. His government is drafting laws to protect reforested zones, punish illegal logging, and regulate land use for sustainability. And yes, he still speaks like a fighter. But now his battlefields are rivers and drylands. His soldiers are teachers, elders, mothers, children. As one village chief said, Traore may carry a gun, but he handed us a seed. That seed is growing into more than just trees. It is growing into a national identity, one rooted in self-reliance and ecological justice. Plans are underway to expand the green belt beyond Ouagadougou, creating a ring of protection around the capital. There are talks of using the model in Mali and Niger, and across rural provinces, people have begun calling their forests not just plantations, but forests of freedom. The road ahead is not without danger. Climate shocks are still real. Funding gaps remain. There are whispers of sabotage, of arson in newly planted zones. But the people are not deterred. As Traore said on Independence Day, even if they burn what we plant, they cannot burn what we believe. And that belief is growing faster than any tree. What is happening in Burkina Faso is beginning to ripple across borders. From Niger to Senegal, women's cooperatives are calling Traore's model a blueprint for a new kind of African revolution, one built on self-reliance and the soil beneath their feet. Kenyan environmentalists have sent delegations to study Burkina Faso's methods, impressed by how local knowledge is blended with modern sustainability techniques. International media is starting to take notice, albeit slowly. African diaspora communities in the United States and Europe have begun raising funds to support this green awakening. Black churches in Atlanta and Chicago have hosted vigils, praying for Burkina Faso's success. This is not just about Africa, one pastor in Detroit preached. This is about proving that when we stand together, no one can erase our roots. For older African Americans, this movement is a reminder of the community gardens and urban farms built during the civil rights era. Watching these women, I see the spirit of my own mother, says James Carter, a retired activist from Mississippi. She planted food so we could live free. These women are planting forests for that same freedom. Traore's campaign is not only changing landscapes, but reshaping global narratives. It challenges the old colonial belief that Africa must wait for outsiders to save it. Instead, it declares, we are saving ourselves. And this declaration is being heard in boardrooms, in classrooms, in pulpits. Everywhere that the future of the black identity is being rewritten. From the cracked soil of the Sahel to the shade of a rising forest, Burkina Faso has proven something the world too often forgets. Greatness is not born from wealth but from will. 10,000 women with nothing but shovels, sweat and faith have built not just a forest but a living monument of courage. And at the center of it all stands Captain Ibrahim Traore, a leader whose vision stretches far beyond politics, reaching into the very roots of his nation. Captain Ibrahim latest news tells us of more forests, more self-reliance, and more battles against the forces that want Africa on its knees. Yet what stands out is not just the scale of his ambition, but the depth of his belief that freedom must be planted, nurtured, and guarded like the trees themselves. The success of this movement is not merely a local story. It is a call to every black man and woman across the globe, a reminder that when we plant together, we rise together. It is a challenge to the narrative that Africa is dependent, weak, or voiceless. Burkina Faso latest news is no longer about crisis, it is about creation. It is about a nation that, in the face of dust and doubt, chose to build a forest of hope. If you feel this story stirring something in your heart, ask yourself, what seeds are you planting? Do you believe Africa's rise is unstoppable? Do you believe that the hands of 10,000 women can change the future of a continent? Drop a comment. Say Africa Rise if you believe this vision belongs to all of us. Captain Ibrahim latest news is still being written, one tree at a time. And as long as these women keep planting and as long as we keep believing, the desert cannot win. If this story moves something in your chest, don't scroll past. Like, share, speak. Subscribe, because they hid our history long enough. Let's speak our future out loud.
Welcome back. I hope you watched the video and I hope you've taken note of whatever statements he made in the video. Kindly not to forget to also subscribe, also comment on the video to see your ideas on what Ibrahim Traore is doing, how he's influencing African countries to also unite them for development. AMF4 TV has a lot of pack as this issue is concerned. We will always update you on this issue because AMF4 TV is an entertainment, political and social network TV. Kindly not to forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more of these videos as well as other entertaining videos. My name is Richard Che.
Arise, gather you.